Good morning, everyone. It's nice to hear so much energy in here this morning. I like this. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Las Vegas. It is wonderful to be together, both virtual and in person. My name is Rory, and I'm your worship associate today, and I use her, they pronouns. We broadcast a video feed for our virtual attendees. If you wish not to be recorded, please sit towards the back or the edges of the sanctuary. When we gather, we get to practice creating inclusive, worshipful spaces together. For those in the sanctuary, we encourage you to wear a name tag, which includes your pronouns. For those in our virtual space, please edit your name to include your pronouns. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones and refrain from using the chat on Zoom. Please also move in ways that your body needs. It is okay for you to wiggle, stand up, sleep, or fidget. All bodies are welcome here. Welcome to our service. Before we ring the bell, I would like to encourage you all to please take a moment to greet those around you that make this space sacred. You can say good morning, hello, wave, or just acknowledge each other's presence.
Oh, now I can see. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Las Vegas is situated on the traditional homelands of the Nahuatl Southern Paiute people. We are grateful for the land itself, for those who have stewarded it for generations, and for the opportunity to worship, learn, work, grow, and be in community with this land and her peoples. We encourage everyone present to engage in continued learning about the indigenous peoples who continue to live and work on this land, including the Las Vegas Paiute tribe and the Moapa Band of Paiutes, and about the historical and present realities of colonialism. It is important to recognize and appreciate the use of Southern Paiute land as part of our mission to become a welcoming and inclusive place for worship, spiritual enrichment, and exploration. Yeah, because we have this out.
And now I would like to invite those of you who are participating in our chalice lighting to come up.
We carry the flame. Across the generations, we have carried the flame. We fought the injustice. We sang the songs, spoke for truth, and built something lasting. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we are tending the flame. Hand in hand together, we share in the work of fighting justice, singing the songs, speaking the truth, and we are here to build something lasting. We join in a line and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we have been nourished by this flame. We are singing new songs, breaking old barriers, sharing in the work. And as we find our own space in what has been, we are here to make space for the next person as well. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
And join with us. Across the generations, this flame comes to us. We are here for the songs, for the justice, for the community, sharing the work. We are here now to build something new and lasting. We are ready for a new day together. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward. Thank you, everyone.
To this house, we come bringing our boldest dreams, seeking here the inspiration and strength to make them be. Needing to grow beyond plateaus of the commonplace, we seek here challenges and commitments productive of greater wholeness and deeper meanings. Strange place, this house. Here we cry, sing, laugh, hurt, dance, touch, survive, celebrate, grow, search, doubt, hope, rejoice, pray, trust, care, learn, think, wonder, be, become. Yet this morning to this house we come. And now I invite you to stand for our first hymn with Margaret. It's in the teal hymnal number 1010, We Give Thanks.
I'm going to sing the first verse through once, and then I will invite you to join with me for the first and the second verse as well. We are unaccompanied. So let's fill the energy that we normally would see with the piano as well. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Please join me. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this present time, for a time of wonder, joy, and fun. For all we give as we grow and live. Oh, we give thanks for the old and young. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I have a story for you all. So this is a story about two brothers, and it was harvest time, and they lived on farms that were next to each other. And the one brother, well, he had gotten married, and he had a big family and lots of children running around, and everyone was constantly there. The neighbors were coming over to play, right? It was a wonderful, bustling, beautiful place. And his brother, who lived just a little ways down the road in the next farm over, well, he had never found a partner, never had children, and so was by himself. And at this harvest time, right, the whole community gathers and everyone helps, and they pick and they store all the wheat and the grains. And so they both had their big storerooms full. Well, night came, and the brother who had the beautiful big family, well, he was tossing and turning, thinking of his brother. And he thought, my goodness, he is all alone, right? He has not had these wonderful blessings that I have had in my life, and I should provide more for him, right? And so what he decided is that he would, in the middle of the night, sneak and take some of his own store of grain and carry them over to his brother's house. And so he brought them over there and filled up even more than before in his brother's grain store. Well, his brother also, in that same moment in the night, was tossing and turning and thinking of his brother and said, oh, my brother has such a large family, so many mouths to feed. I should give him some of my blessings, all this grain. I am but one person, right? I do not need quite so much. And so he also was thinking, I should take some of my grain and carried over there. And so he gathered some of his and crept over in the nighttime and left it there. Well, the next morning, both of them awoke, and the brother with the large family went out to his grain store and he said, "Oh, there is just as much grain as there was yesterday. My goodness, the gods are blessing me." And the brother, who did not have a family, went out to his grain store that morning and said, "Oh, there is just as much grain as there was yesterday. The gods are blessing me." And so then that next night, they both thought, as they tossed and turned in their sleep, "I should do the same thing. I should bring more grain. Since the gods have blessed me for giving, I should give more to my brother." And so they both gathered their grain and they walked through towards each other's farm. And all of a sudden, bump, they crashed into one another and realized in that moment that each of them had been the blessing that they needed in the other. Thank you.
We will now ground ourselves in the present and honor the thread of humanity that connects us as living beings. If you will have someone you would like held up and you're on Zoom, please add their names to the chat. As humans striving toward a beloved community, we have the privilege and responsibility to hold on to each other as we live the joys and sorrows of life. We take this sacred time to acknowledge the people we hold in our hearts, that in sharing, our triumph and joy may be multiplied and our pain and sorrow may lessen their sting. We will now partake in a common UU ritual of marking our joys and sorrows by dropping a pebble in water. The pebble signifies a lightness or burden on your heart. The water represents the love and strength of our community to surround, support, and celebrate you. Today is a silent ritual. If you have a name to lift, please write it in the book. We will read those names during the service. There's also a small bowl of lightly scented eucalyptus oil if you would like to anoint yourself to seal this practice. If you would like to participate, please come forward. All are welcome. Carrie will now drop a pebble into the bowl for those who are participating remotely, and a second pebble for those who want to do so anonymously. We hold you too in our hearts. Know that as a religious community, we have a group of volunteers who can provide pastoral care, such as occasional visits, providing some rides, phone call checkups, and more. If you need assistance, please reach out to us at uuclvcares@gmail.com, or you can talk to me or a member of pastoral care after the service. Today, we hold up Madonna Pence, Down Tausig, Chandra DeMott, Alicia Brown, the Mara family, and Tristan. Irma, is there anyone in the chat?
Yes. We have Al and Joni, Linda, Renly, who is 3 months old, Cameron Lily, Caleb Michael, who is almost 2 months old.
May we hold all that was spoken and all that is kept in silence of our hearts in love and compassion. And now I invite Margaret for our pastoral hymn in the Teal hymnal number 1039, Be Thou With Us.
So this hymn has the same words repeated many times. We hope that in the repetition, it will become a meditative practice.
Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Blessed be. Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Blessed be. Be thou with us now and always. now and always. Blessed be.
One more time.
Be thou with us now and always, now and always. Blessed be.
Thank you.
Blessed be. This reading is called We Got You, and it's from Reverend Bill Neely from his sermon, The Guy on the Bus. Stewardship is our way of saying, we got you. Your fare has been paid by those who come before. Come aboard, sit down, take a rest. You, the stranger, you, the sad, the fearful, you who feel alone. Your fare has been paid by people of faith who have built these walls, built these ministries, built this faith of hope and love. Many of them aren't even here anymore. Many have died, and yet their gifts live in ministries that exist to welcome, strengthen, and bless you. So come here and know love. Come here and know hope. Come here and know that you are not alone. We got you as others earlier had us. And once you're on the bus and you have your bearings, you have some hope and your sense of your own voice and strength, know that you can get others too. Here in this house, you'll be surrounded by people committed not to reflecting the profanities of this world, but to transforming them into the moments of beauty and goodness. You'll be able, with our strength and shared inspiration, to bring others aboard so that they find warmth and inspiration. Riders who in turn will share with even more people. You'll be able to, having your fare paid by those who come before, pay the fares of those to come, so that this house of love and hope welcomes everyone who seeks its comfort, wisdom, and community. And now I'd like to invite Betty to come up.
I know I don't know everybody here because so many new people have joined, and I am so pleased to see new faces. And I'm Betty Lacombe. I've been a member here since 2002, but I've been a Unitarian since 1980. My father was a Lutheran Missouri Synod minister. That's a denomination that doesn't allow women to do anything. Oh, excuse me, we can sing and wash the communion cups, but not be on the board, not be an usher or anything. My father, I bought him an MCP tie once, and he said, "What's MCP stand for?" I said, "Male chauvinist pig." And he wore it proudly because he said, "It's not me, it's the denomination." But anyway. And then I fall in love with an atheist. Became a humanist minister. And some of you knew my husband, Paul, who died 10 years ago. He used to preach here occasionally. And I thought, how could I love two men that are so separated in their beliefs? When I got married, I asked both of them never, ever to talk about religion, because I knew my father was so strong on this Lutheran, and I knew my husband was very strong on the atheist. So they both honored it. And my whole marriage, the subject really never came up with the two of them, which was very good. But now, where do we go to worship? And my father suggested we go to the Unitarian Universalists, because I can be a Lutheran and he can be an atheist, and we can be there on Sunday morning together and not telling each other you're wrong, you don't believe, because this denomination accepts everyone who has basically the principles in their life, being nice to everybody, tolerating things that you don't like, etc., protecting the earth, being green. It's a wonderful denomination. I appreciate this denomination that I found it. Now, every year in June, there's a a Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly. It's a big, huge meeting held in some city. I've been to 20 of them because I just adore this denomination. There's so much I love about it. And I basically come for the sermon on Sunday. Now, some people here will come for coffee hour. Some people will come because their kids have a place where they can learn to tolerate other religions. Some of you may just come because your spouse says, hey, you got to come with me. All right. And you have to think about, what do you come here for? Now, I come for this, and I love the first Sunday lunch bunch, and I'm going to do a plug because they don't allow you to do plugs on regular Sundays. The first Sunday lunch bunch, those of you who have never come once. It's the first Sunday. We just go to Desert Pines, get separate checks. You can have just a glass of water, a cup of soup, or a big meal. And we analyze everything. We talk about the world and trips, people, and what's going on in politics. It's just a lovely, but you get to know the other people here, because we are all together in this to keep this place alive. Now, I want you to do me a favor, and I don't want you to think of your shopping list. I'm going to ask you to shut your eyes for a moment and think. Now, everybody shut your eyes. Why do you come to this place? What is the one thing that is really driving you to get up on a Sunday and not read the paper right away, but come here? Now, just think about it for a moment, okay? It's gone. How would you feel? How would you feel if that was not in your life anymore? Because you appreciate this place for the one thing you come for. It's not what I come for, or it may be. And that's why we ask you to please think hard how much you would miss this place if it wasn't. We have to pay for lighting. We have to pay for all that stuff that you pay for at home, you know, garbage collection and mail and somebody to take care of this and clean and everything. It all goes with the whole thing. It's not just Sunday. We got to keep the building open. Think of how much you appreciate this place, that it's here for you. It's here to accept you with all your quirks. We all have them, etc. All right. And so when you're filling out the pledge form, think, is it worth a latte with sprinkles and hot milk and everything else a day? You know, is it worth a bus ride a day? What is it worth to you to keep this place alive so that you can come back every Sunday or on Saturday for the food kitchen, whatever you're here for? Thank you.
We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. The offering supports the mission of the congregation to be a beacon of love and justice in the desert, and supports local organizations working to make our community a better place for all. The offering this month is shared with the Solidarity Fridge and Little Library. The Solidarity Fridge is a new mutual aid initiative that is committed to strengthening our community. Indigenous food warriors, guided by their ancestors and rooted in community, visit, volunteer, or donate to their community pantry, garden, seed share initiative, and the free library. This offering is a spiritual practice of generosity that the congregation does as a whole each week. Please join us as a member or friend in this practice. The link to donate your offering will be in the chat on Zoom, and our ushers will pass the plates so you can donate. And now please join with me. With gratitude for the abundance in our own lives, for the life of this congregation, and the benefit of the larger community. Thank you all for your gifts of time and treasure. And now, we invite Larry McCaster to come up and share a board member perspective on stewardship.
Good morning. Yeah, it says here a board member's perspective, and I am on the board, and I do have a perspective, but I'm afraid my my talk's gonna be more about my personal story and sort of response to Betty's question about why we're here. I was born into a Presbyterian family in Michigan and was raised in a liberal Presbyterian church where my mother was an active leader. In my family, religion was a small but essential part of family identity. Belief in God was assumed and rarely questioned. The Lord's Prayer and other forms of liturgy were spoken aloud at every Sunday morning service. All of my grandparents were foundationally religious. My mother came from Puritan roots in New England. Her parents and grandparents were founding members of the Patchogue Methodist Church in Long Island in 1889. On my father's side, we have 6 generations of McAllisters buried at the Rock Hill Presbyterian Church Cemetery in the hill country of Ohio. My father's father, after whom I was named, was a beloved physics professor in Georgia during the time of Albert Michelson and Albert Einstein. In fact, Michelson, who won the Nobel Prize in physics for being the first to accurately measure the speed of light, was one of Grandpa's professors at the University of Chicago in his PhD program. And yet, of all my relatives, Grandpa, or Dr. Mack, as his students called him, was perhaps the most religiously devout. For most of his life, he taught Sunday school at his church and gave lectures at church chapel, often striving to reconcile science and religion, using his personal story as evidence, explaining that it was God who intervened in his life as a schoolboy and turned him from a failing student in a rural one-room schoolhouse into a science professor. For him, earnest exploration of objective reality was an expression of his faith and relationship with God. And all the credit for his accomplishments in the scientific world went to God. In 2012, nearly 40 years after my grandfather retired and 30 years after his death, a group of his former physics and Sunday school students raised $5 million to name a new science building after him. McAllister Hall can be seen today at Berry College in Rome, Georgia. You can Google it, see pictures of it. You see, in my family, even scientific inquiry provided no justification for agnosticism. And yet, from about the age 10 or so, Christian explanations of reality held less and less currency with me. I attended church most Sundays because that's what our family did, but the messages often rang hollow for me. After arriving in Las Vegas in 1990, Lisa and I joined First Presbyterian Church, where we raised our 2 kids. I sang in the church choir. Lisa played handbells. We went to pageants and had parties and lived a pretty vibrant social life there. But because I couldn't profess to accept Jesus Christ as my personal savior, I was never able to join any of the Presbyterian churches in my life. Around the year 1999, First Pres underwent some political struggles and we left the church. We spent the next decade trying different churches, but nothing really stuck. This was the first period in my life when I had no church home. And while that was intellectually freeing and I did enjoy my Sunday morning time, I felt like I'd left a hole that needed to be filled. My mother's brother Hugh and his wife Lynn, both of whom I admired for their humor and intellect, were enthusiastic UUs in Michigan when I was growing up. All I had heard about UUism was that they were less strict and stringent on supernatural beliefs than Presbyterianism. So when turmoil struck our Presbyterian church and we, along with many of our friends, left, eventually in around 2010, I searched the internet for a UU church in Las Vegas to see if it might be a fit. That's when I learned that in all of Las Vegas, there's only one UU church. Lisa and I dropped in. We were warmly welcomed and attended for maybe a year or so before we signed the membership book. This is the first church and only church I've ever formally joined. At UUCLV, I found exploring minds, secular moral guidance, and a feeling of community. In other words, everything I enjoyed about religious life without all the stuff I didn't. Despite its inconvenient location, the age of the building, the condition of the building, the trash that seems to endlessly blow into our lot, I'm an enthusiastic member of UUCLV because it affords me both freedom of thought and a close-knit community of friends. Over the years, Lisa and I have pledged our financial resources to UUCLV, eventually reaching about 8% of our budget. And since I retired, that level has sort of plateaued, but I've taken on more volunteer responsibilities. I don't do this because I love the building or its location or because I believe our members in the UUCLV is perfectly living its values. I do it because I give to this congregation because in doing so, I feed my soul. I make friends. I help to preserve this valuable and fragile resource in Las Vegas. And I receive moral lessons that I've never gotten at other churches. My former Presbyterian minister once told me that without a belief in God, there can be no moral life. This place teaches me that without moral people, there can be no heaven on earth. That worldview is important enough to me that I try to do my part. It's tiring at times and it's frustrating, but that's what families are like. And I'm so happy to have this family. And as far as the board goes, I didn't mention the board. If anybody would like to talk to me, or Jane is our secretary, Carrie Poole is our treasurer, Maggie over there with her hands up, you can approach us anytime, and Kim over here. Or we have board meetings the fourth Wednesday of every month, and all are welcome to sit in. Thank you.
Guess what time it is? Does anybody want to come up and help with gift box? I could use a little help. Awesome. I'm super excited. This is my first time getting to do the gift box. Do you want to sit down? Do you want to hang on to it? Shake it a little, see what you think. Something wooden. Red. I have the red. Come on. Come on up. We need another shake. Oh. Should we open it? What do you think? Let's do. Gold coins? What are they made of? Chocolate. Oh, what can we do with these? What can we do with them? Sell them. That's a good idea. We could use that. What else might we do with it? Eat it. Eat it. Any other ideas? There's a whole lot of them. Do you think we should eat them all right now, or what should we do? Oh, maybe we could save a few. What do you think? Or maybe we could give a few to other people. Can we do that? What would you do with these? What if this was a real gold coin? What do you think we could do with it then?
Give it to poor people.
Give it to poor people. What a great idea. Any other thoughts? Maybe we could spend it. There's lots of stuff we can do with money, isn't there? Lots of stuff to do with chocolate money and real money. Right? So we can make choices about what we do with our money. Yeah, I think I'm going to take one too. Would you like to go share these out? Maybe we can give them to the folks sitting here who've either already pledged or are planning to pledge for sure today. I think I'm going to take one because I did my pledge already. Would you like to carry those around? Thank you so much.
I don't want to interrupt the candy passing out, but so you may notice readers are up. I'm winging this. I was so excited about doing this sermon today. You know, this is part 2 of, hey, I get to talk about money now that I'm treasurer. And there's a church joke that I've been aware of. The big sermon in the Bible is the Sermon on the Mount. So there's a pun about the sermon on Stewardship Week. It's the Sermon on the Amount. It's how much you should be giving. But as it turns out, this is a multiple sermon, thank goodness, because I was all excited about it until a couple weeks ago when I started getting under the weather and been a little brain fog. So writing a sermon, as hard as I tried, it wasn't happening. Because here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about volunteering and volunteer time and how important it is, especially to a place like UUCLV. Right now, we are a DIY church. I don't have a minister. It happened, wasn't necessarily the original plans when we set out the budget a year ago, but here we are. And I think we're doing okay with it. But because we're a DIY church, there's a reality. If somebody doesn't do it, somebody doesn't step up, it doesn't happen. Which means me not making my commitments to get a sermon written this week, that was bad. And I'm really sorry about it. Sometimes your body doesn't do what your body doesn't want to do, but it's still, we all need to step up. There's another reason I am a firm believer in volunteering around church. I believe in DIY church. I think I've talked about it from time to time when I'm up here over the last few years. I'm a Wiccan who was raised Catholic and converted to Judaism in my 30s. But as a Wiccan, it's DIY church. Wiccans don't have a Bible. And so a lot of times our ritual is passed down or we write it ourselves. So I believe in DIY church. And another thing I believe about it is there are some people out there who have money. I've never been one of those people. I've been hopelessly middle class my whole life. And that means when stewardship time comes around, I don't know about the rest of you, but we were all raised Christians. Christians get a good dose of guilt. And so when stewardship time comes around in our congregation, it's like, oh, how much should I give? I can't really afford that much. They talk about it. Well, is it worth a latte? I don't ever get to buy a latte anymore. That's a once a week treat. So, okay. So you can't pull a $5 out of your pocket, or the $5 you pull out of your pocket, you got to hang on to because that's your bus fare tomorrow. But you're in charge of your time. Each and every one of us is in charge of our time. And so if you have time to do something, do it. If you're here at church and you say, and you look around and say, that piece of garbage needs to be picked up. Just pick it up. Don't ask anybody. It's on the ground. You can ask, hey, where should I put this? Maybe you don't know where the garbage can is. But don't wait for somebody else to do it. Do it. And when the call goes out, hey, we need some people to help clean out the backyard, they're talking to you. And if you look at it that way, then the yard gets picked up. And it's less work for the people who do it. So I'm going to ask you, if you think you want to volunteer to do something, do something. I'm going to give you a warning that I learned this year. If it's something that you've done for a living and you decide you should do it. And I stood up to be treasurer because I've been a bookkeeper for 40 years. That was my career. So it should be easy, right? Well, here's the thing. A year ago, I would have stood up here, and I was seeing a little better a year ago, but I would have known most of the faces that are sitting up here. One of the things that I've noticed in the year since I've been the treasurer is there's so many faces here. I don't know. Because I'm not sitting up front being a greeter. Then I get to see y'all. If you want to meet people, be a greeter. It's a great way to meet people. And I'm glad we've got all this new people, but I'm going to wrap this up because like I said, I didn't get this ready. Volunteer. If you have time, volunteer to do something. You hear a call for people asking, hey, can you do this? Hey, if you hear the folks in worship teams say, hey, we need worship team people, that's you. If you hear the greeters asking for somebody to greet, and Bobby does a really good job of asking everybody. I appreciate Bobby for that. She means you. So my challenge to each of every one of you here is if you think there's something you can do to help this place out, just do it. And if you're sitting here feeling, yeah, when you're hearing about stewardship and you're feeling guilty because, I'm going to put some money in, but I can't put that much in. You feel less guilty about it if you volunteer to do something because that's valuable too. Trust me. If we get something done and we don't have to write a check to pay for it, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So the moneyed people are valuable, but each and every one of you is valuable. And then I'm going to just say a couple little practices. This might be one for the folks with kids. Much as I hate counting change, if you want to get in a habit where your kids clean out their change once a week and throw it in the plate, that's great. You have an extra buck. You have it in the wallet, throw it on the plate. It helps. Every little bit helps. And if we do the small things, it won't hurt as much to get to the big things. That's all I really got to say. Sorry.
My name is Joanne Leovy. I use she, her pronouns. And I want to talk to you today about rebellion. But first, one more St. Patrick's story. There's a legend and it involves a leprechaun, a little sprite who lived in the woods in Ireland and made a living by cobbling shoes. He made such fine shoes that people would pay for them with gold coins. But apparently there wasn't much place in the woods to spend gold coins, so he just kept all his coins in a big pot. Naturally, this made him into an easy target for unscrupulous thieves. But the leprechaun, remember, he's a trickster, and he always outwitted the thieves. In his coup de grace, he hid the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow because no one except the leprechaun can ever find the end of the rainbow. And as far as I know, nothing ever happened with those gold coins after that. Although meant as a cautionary tale about greed, I think that stories like this about leprechauns are central to our historical relationship with money. We're taught to desire and crave money, yet at the same time, we're deeply conflicted about whether to hide or flaunt those riches we might have. Certainly, generally, secrecy is preferred over openness when it comes to money. We all know we live in a society focused on wants, needs, and desires, where the temptation to acquire looms large. In our city, especially, winners and losers are defined starkly in monetary terms. Cautionary tales about greed, such as the story of the leprechaun, are subsumed by the constant capitalistic drone of sowed dissatisfaction, of always thinking we need more. And despite knowing that the Horatio Alger pull yourself up by the bootstraps story has never been true, we live in an ambiance of entitlement culture, too often confusing wealth with goodness. This atmosphere squashes the wonders of grace, gratitude, and hope that are recipes for happiness in other cultures far less well off than ours. I had to laugh recently on a volunteer trip to Guatemala when my U.S. doctor partner objected to using the word hope in a theme for a fundraising event because she said, "We're not about hope, we're about healthcare and community empowerment." Then I looked around and I saw that Esperanza, meaning hope, is all over Guatemala. I laughed when we stayed in Hotel Casa Esperanza. Who would ever name a U.S. hotel Hope House? It sounds like a rehab facility. Yet, I think that Guatemalans who live in a country trying to continue a process of remaking itself after a 40-plus year U.S. fomented civil war, Guatemalans understand that hope is a precursor to change. And they recently lived out decades of this hope by coalescing together and electing a candidate who was pro-democracy and anti-corruption and pro-involvement and making sure that he was actually seated into office. This is the type of hope that's intimately connected with gratitude and giving. We need to hope before we can dream and before we can plan and fund. So I invite you to take just a moment to think deeply about your hopes for UUCLV. As a well-off person, I walk around with the secret, not so secret privilege of comfort of being able to take my eye off our personal household budget for periods of time, of being able to make choices. That privilege extends to choices about material needs, about acquisition and giving. I have long known the good feelings that go with giving or donating to an important cause, and many studies confirm that giving actually makes us healthier. The act of generosity causes surges of feel-good hormones in our brain, such as serotonin and oxytocin. Generous giving is associated with lower blood pressure. Also, at least one study has found that those who volunteer live longer than those who don't. I don't know, Larry, if that study was conducted among people who do endless maintenance and repair on aging facilities. Maybe not. But anyway, in general, volunteering is good. Closely linked to generosity is the value of community over individuality. Community used to be a core American value, but again, it's been subsumed by profit-seeking cultural forces. It's no secret that we're in an epidemic of loneliness, which is quite literally fomenting widespread depression, conspiracy mongering, and early death. So I think we're in a pivotal moment here in our country where the stark choices between cynicism and hope, greed and gratitude, isolation and community will set our national path for the rest of my life. And here, we as UUs have an opportunity to set ourselves down the path of grace and gratitude by choosing to support love, justice, and a vibrant community. Here at UUCLV, I admit I was one of the skeptics who didn't really believe that this congregation could survive, let alone thrive, in the absence of full-time ministry. I've been stunned by our collective blossoming of true community care and generous sharing of talents over the past several months. I am so grateful to all of those of you and those in our congregation who've spent countless hours on leadership tasks, and also to the newcomers here who've opened their hearts and minds to join us. I see us staging an intentional resistance against the prevailing winds of hate, greed, and isolation to create a rebellious community of care. So now to the practicalities. This weekend marks the beginning of our 4-week annual stewardship drive to secure funding for the congregational year beginning July 1st, 2024, and running through June 30th, 2025. We conduct this drive in the spring in order to allow our Board of Trustees time to develop a budget for the next year, and in order for us as a congregation to consider, debate, and vote on the budget. UUCLV, like other UU congregations, is a self-governed, self-funded organization. We do have a smattering of income from the cell tower out back and from room rentals and other small contributions, but the vast majority of our funding comes from friend and member contributions. As a congregation of just, I think exactly now 100 members and a couple of dozen contributing friends, funding ourselves to a minimum goal of $150,000 requires a radical leap of faith. Unlike a Facebook fundraiser or an offhand contribution where tossing in $20 is considered a good deed, we're asking you to join this radical experiment in intentional generosity by contributing at least 5% of your income when possible, or as much as you can reasonably afford in your budget. We've embarked on a first step to self-sustainment by operating as a lay-led congregation since last August. Our next important step will be to secure funding to manage emergencies, maintain our building, enhance religious education and youth programs, continue to adequately pay our staff, possibly hire a business manager to help us run more smoothly. Thinking ahead over the next few years, building to a budget of $200,000 to $250,000 will give us the financial security we really need to have a greater impact on the lives of our members, visitors, and community. Hopefully you've received an envelope with stewardship information, but if you did not, don't worry. I've got it for you out front. Just see me after the service. And for those on Zoom joining us, we can mail you your packet, and hopefully Irma can put the link to the information that's on our website into the chat. We invite everyone in our community to make a pledge for the 2024-25 year, not only members, but friends, supporters, and participants in our small group ministries and other activities. If you pledge now, but your circumstances change, you can submit a revised pledge at a later time. If you're a member and you're unable to pledge any financial amount for next year, please speak with Board President Megan Walls or a member of the board. Our stewardship core team includes co-chair Bobby Lloyd and myself, as well as Kay Sanderson, Susan Danielewicz, and Deborah Coral. We welcome questions and feedback. If you have questions about the process, or you would like to share a confidential comment or concern for the board, or you have a financial question, please speak with one of us. Hope is an active vote in favor of the future. Stewardship, more than caring for what we have, is a radical commitment to a vision of a generous, loving, and just future. This St. Patrick's Day, let's not wait for Lady Luck. Let's seek it out and make ourselves into a thankful and lucky community. I invite you into this rebellious act. And now we'll stand for our last hymn, number 1017 with Margaret.
This has 4 verses, and in addition to singing along, I will welcome you to either snap or clap or pat on your thigh rhythmically as we go along.
We are building a new way.
Sorry. I guess we're doing.
We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our crown. Peace and freedom is our crown. Peace and freedom is our crown. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our crown.
Call to action. The religious education team has announced our spring religious education offering. In the month of April, we invite you to join our Spirit in Practice program. Spirit in Practice was created to help Unitarian Universalists develop regular disciplines or practices of the Spirit, practices that help us connect with the sacred ground of their being. However we understand it. Spirit in Practice affirms religious diversity while seeking unity in our communal quest for meaning and wholeness. Whether participants follow a path they identify as humanist, Jewish, Christian, pagan, theist, atheist, agnostic, mystic, and or any of the other paths. God, that sounds familiar. We follow in our diverse congregation. The Spirit in Practice workshops offer a forum for learning, sharing, and growth that can enrich their faith journeys. This will be offered as longer intensive sessions on Saturdays in April. Please follow the QR code on the pages in the social hall to receive more information and sign up.
Our benediction comes from my first UU minister, Reverend Peter Rabel. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. This is as it should be. Together we are more than any one person could be. Together we can build across the generations. Together we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice. We are ever bound in community. May it always be so.
Now I would like to invite any of our chalice helpers to come up and extinguish the chalice. And I'd like to invite the congregation to join with me in the words. We release that which was called with love and gratitude, and we extinguish the flame, but not our commitment to being a beacon in the desert. This burns brightly until we gather again. Okay. Did not pre-print out our announcements for today, so just wanted to read a couple upcoming that we have. On Sundays, we have room for 3 announcements to be read at the upcoming services. If you want your announcement read, please email it to Irma by Thursday and she will get it to the worship associates. Please include the name of the event, the date and time, and a contact name, and no more than a 30-word description. We have, as we said, Spirit in Practice. If you want to see anybody, come see me. Please find out more about what it's about. It's an amazing, amazing program. We have our game night is coming up. It will be on Saturday, March 23rd from 2 to 4 p.m. It will be here. Our religious education team is sponsoring it, and it is just an opportunity to come and socialize and have fun and play games. We are also, the Las Vegas Men's Chorus is having their performance. Here come the British. The British are coming. Sorry, I'm terrible at this. The British are coming, and it will be next Sunday, March 24th at 4 p.m. Please go and support C. Breton for more details. We also will be having food pantry twice next month, and many of our regular volunteers are unable to make it to the first pantry session. So please, if you are able to come lend a hand, it is lots of fun. My family is always there with my kids. We make it safe, we make it fun, and we serve our community. April 6th. Yes, April 6th, coming right up. And please be sure to come back. I know this was a lot on stewardship this week. Next week will be something totally different. So please come back and join us again next Sunday. Thank you.
you.